Well, ladies and gents, I'm gonna sit down here and do something I've been actually thinking about and talking about for quite some time now. You see, but first I think I'd better start out with, talking about a little history here first. Back in, the early 90s, about 1991 or so, I was actually a subscriber to, the Sega Gamer magazine. Somehow, don't quite remember how that happened, but I found out they were going to do a Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon show, and don't know why that interested me, but it did. So I watched a little bit of that, and I was actually quite a fan of that. And then they had their syndicated weekday show, which I watched a little bit. Was not a particular fan of, much like everyone else. And well, I guess more people were a fan of the syndicated weekday Sonic cartoon than I thought, but I never really got into it. And then, I sort of just followed that stuff around through high school and college. And then in 1999, 2000, about the time I was about ready to graduate, they had something called Sonic Underground, which I actually did one of my very first Let's Play, or not Let's Play, I'm thinking about video games for some reason here, but I guess that's because I'm talking about a video game character. But one of my very first looking back articles that I ever wrote was about Sonic Underground, if you want to look that up on that guy with the glasses. And, well, a few years later, sometime in the early 2000s, they came up with a more anime-style show called Sonic X because, well, don't ask me. I guess that's, excuse me here, uh, that was, I guess, just the popular way of doing things. And from the looks of things, has been for a better part of a decade now. But anyway, while this particular Sonic X iteration was still popular, they came out with a comic book for it. And at the time, this was about 2005 or so, I was still something of a Sonic fan, and so one day I was just walking through, I think it was like a Kmart or a Lewis or something, and I come across this Sonic X comic, and I decided, well, what the hell, I'll check it out, and so I did, and well, I wrote a review of it then, and thought I was gonna, maybe pick up more of it, but I never did, and in fact, actually left the one I did buy sitting in a filing cabinet in my parents' basement for the last 6 years. So, kind of tells you about the quality of the thing, but, excuse me. But, yeah, once I found it again here, during the summer when I decided it was time for me to actually get that same filing cabinet out of my parents' basement and into my own apartment, well, came across my old buddy Sonic here. So I decided, what the hell, might as well give it another read, see what happens, right? But anyway, now that we're done with the little bits of history there, I should warn you two things. First of all, as you've probably seen so far, there's a reason why I'm more a writer than a broadcast person. Got the face, the voice, and the acting talent that you would think. And, crap, lost my train of thought. But anyway, and secondly, just to be forewarned, there might be a few singing gigs here along the way. Yeah, I'm not very good at that either, but, and since I'm basically just kind of goofing off, like I always do when I stream, yeah, things really ain't gonna, be all that wonderful for production value-wise. So, anyway, let's get started here, shall we? With Sonic X #1, the comic book, the first issue here, as I put us in there. But anyway, let's opening this thing up. Well, it's not the first time since I put it away all those years ago, but looking at the first page here, gonna read a little bit of this. Not long ago, Sonic the Hedgehog charged into. But anyway, from charged into the. You know what? Forget this. It's one of those things where one of those things where it seems like they're presuming you've actually seen the show, and well, I mean, that's not a good way to start things, I don't think. So I guess I'll explain things as I can, when I can, as I need to, which really isn't going to be very good. If you're actually interested in seeing the show, check it out on, I know it's on Hulu for sure. I'll provide links at some other time, or sometime when I actually get a halfway decent chance. I actually know what the hell I'm doing. But anyway, it starts out where our little blue hero is in a race against a car that apparently can drive at the speed of sound. I don't know. It's a comic book. I guess it just makes sense, right? But anyway, now we know who's going to win this one, right? You think the guy in the car? Nope. Little Blue Hedgehog wins. Too much cheering, and of course, Dr. Insano. No, that's actually the poor little rich kid's grandfather in this one, a guy named Dr. Chuck, which, for those of us who have been following the Sonic franchise for quite a while, might recognize that name as Sonic's uncle from the Saturday morning thing. But anyway, after a bit of celebration from everybody's anyway. But anyway, everybody celebrates, and I kind of got myself into this, so I guess I'll be going through here. I'm not a very good actor, I'll admit that right now. But anyway, our hero's being a hero and all modest and shit because he doesn't want to come across as hooray hooray I'm the winner, even though that's kind of what you'd expect out of the guy. But anyway, and the losers being, well, a loser, that's why they call them losers. So and then we cut to our villain of the series. In this case, they're calling him Dr. Eggman, but he'll always be Dr. Robotnik to me, because that's how I grew up with the guy. Gonna try and hold this up here, because let's see if I can get this right. I just love this guy's design. Crankor here is getting all mad because he actually has to pay for things. Actually, because he's all getting all pissy because he has to actually pay to build his, world-conquering robots instead of just having the governments give him all this stuff. Come on, man, what do you think this is, America or something? Yeah, you actually have to pay to build your world-conquering robots. What is this world coming to, right? And I'm looking at this again, and I remember when I actually did my written review back in 2005, 2006, whatever it was. I remember making a joke about how there was like tons and tons of ads in here, and that hasn't changed, which is probably one of the reasons why I never went back to reading comic books. So anyway, we get a page of, well, actually several pages of Dr. Crankor and his robots trying to figure out the concept of money. So instead of just going in right then and there to rip off a bank, they decide, oh well, we're gonna wait until tomorrow and then we're going to go and rob the bank that the famous people use. Which You know, for somebody who's supposed to be a genius, that's kind of a stupid idea, really. Because banks usually have a lot of security. And then on top of that, you're going to rob a bank that famous people use, which you would think would have more security. But anyway, a plan's a plan. Uh, Actually, I just jumped ahead there a little bit because our good friend Dr. Crankor sends out his robots to try and rob an ATM first. Yeah, it doesn't go well because they do a Three Stooges routine where they go around pushing buttons on the ATM and they watch someone else do it and get money, and it doesn't work for them. And a cop gets suspicious and runs them off instead of, well, I guess it's one of those things where it's probably a good idea he didn't try and arrest the robots, but then again, these are stupid robots that probably wouldn't have thought of trying to escape if they'd actually gotten caught. Well, yeah, well, I'm almost tempted. Well, I could talk about the scene where our poor little rich kid goes home to find his parents home for a change, but, well, that's barely worth mentioning at all, because you'd think, these people that supposedly have tons of money could be home anytime they want, but what the hell do I know? I'm just a little broke guy on a webcam that, can barely do this. So forget me talking about money and what rich people do, right? So anyway, now is the part where they decide to rob the bank that all the rich people, and the villain decides he's going to rob the bank that all the rich people use. Damn, there's a lot of commercial. Damn, there's a lot of ads in this thing. Keep saying that, but it's true. But anyway, our hero our hero or villain, whatever Dr. Crankor is supposed to be here, gonna try and hold this up again. Whips out his rat bot. Yeah, that's really what you're gonna use to rob a bank, huh? Well, I guess if that works for you. From what I understand, that's supposed to be some sort of a reference to a movie from the 70s. But then again, since that particular movie came out 5 years before I was born, from what I understand, I don't get it, and I don't think most of the other readers do either. Or most of the other readers did either, whatever the proper tense there is. And as you can see, I just showed up another commercial there in the book, which I can't get away from that. And back at the stately Thorndike residence, yeah. Okay, so they're talking about how they're going to go to the bank, and then they go to the bank, and, well, Sonic doesn't want to because that's just the kind of guy he is. I understand it's boring, but I guess after the bank, they're supposedly going to go to the beach if they ever get away from once they're done with the bank. But since the adventure's at the bank, that's where the rest of the comic's going to go. And gotta love the security guard in here. I guess I'll better show that one since I'm actually working with video here. I keep forgetting how video is supposed to work. But yeah, check out the security guard here, folks. He's thinking about how he's got like 7 hours and 47 minutes left on his shift. I can be the same way when I'm at work, but I can at least wait until I've been there a couple hours before I start watching the clock. But anyway, outside the bank, I guess the rich family has their valet, and he notices Dr. Crankor and his giant rat pot coming. And after a Kool-Aid Man entrance into the bank, we're treated to probably one of the biggest ads I could have possibly imagined seeing in a comic book that is in and of itself another advertisement. It's a Batman activity book, but we'll skip over that because, well, I'm not a Batman fan, and it's kind of taken away from the focus of this, really. Me talking about focus, what the hell do I think I'm talking about, right? But anyway, you know, instead of continuing on with our harrowing bank robbery, which might actually have been interesting, we see Sonic showing up at some place called Angel Island, where he's going to talk to his friend Knuckles the Echidna. Well, here, I'll show you the picture of this here. Still trying to work this out. As you can see, the production values of what I'm doing aren't exactly great. But, see this red dude here, our buddy Knuckles, is supposed to be or at least when I was still more a Sonic fan, I understood that Knuckles was supposed to be a friendly nemesis of Sonic. And, well, he asks our little blue friend what he wants. Butt sex! Lots and lots of butt sex! No. No, Sonic's just looking for a jogging partner. But, of course, Knuckles is the consummate worker who wants to stay on guard of his precious Chaos Emerald. Which, well, I'm not a very good fanboy when it comes to Sonic. Don't know what that is, don't really care. So, anyway, our red buddy's gonna stay on Angel Island and guard his rock or his gem, whatever the hell. And now, don't really know where our heroes, I guess you'd call them, go from here. Because we do cut back to the bank robbery where things are actually starting to get interesting. Because Ratbot attack, right? These jokes. Somebody actually got paid to write these things, and here I am making a fool of myself for free. But, well, I guess you gotta earn a living somehow, right? But anyway, you know, so Dr. Crankor is finally being smart and actually gonna try to, you know, rip off the bank by blowing open the vault with missiles. Yeah, shoot off missiles inside a bank. Good going there, Doc. Hope you don't wind up blowing yourself up. But of course, Sonic's one main fangirl, Amy Rose here, decides, hey, you know, I'm gonna whip out my big giant clown hammer and hit the robot with the missiles on it. But fortunately, they do manage to blow up the bad guy instead of the vault and themselves. Give them credit for that, I guess. Of course, Dr. Crankor is something of a doofus. Has trouble deciding between revenge and money, and then comes to his senses and decides, hey, you know, why not have both, right? So he's gonna try and blow up, you know, blow up the hero's buddies, but that doesn't quite work. Instead, we get a nice big Batman commercial here. You know, Archie spends an awful lot of time talking about Batman, which I thought was a DC property. But then again, I know less about comic books than I do about, you know, most other things I'm doing right now. So, wonderful, huh? But anyway, I guess while all that stuff at the bank was going on, Sonic was headed back to Station Square or wherever the hell this is taking place. You know, because he comes across another one of those high-powered cop cars that are, I guess it's another F1 car. That's supposed to be a cop car. You know, why they're using F1, you know, what kind of criminals they're chasing where they'd need F1 cars, I have no idea. But there you go, right? So our hero goes zipping off to the bank, finds himself fighting the Ratbot. Yeah, goes about the way you'd expect, you know. After one tentacle attack here, you know, that knocks him out for about 10 seconds. And, you know, well, You know, I think I'm going to need acting lessons if I'm actually going to be serious about this. But anyway, yeah, I can tell I'm not a very good. But anyway, you know, it's one of those things where they're all about 3 feet. It doesn't look like they're very far away from their things they're trying to reach for, because there's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of reaching and throwing and stuff going on here, and it looks like, well, it's kind of like me trying to reach something on my you know, on that shelf behind me there, like that power cord. Gee, it's just out of reach. All I have to do is come back here like this and wham. But that's not how they're doing things here. So I guess there's enough room for Tails to be actually throwing rings at Sonic, and it doesn't work. Because there's some kind of explosion from, I don't know, their rat pot or something that knocks him out of the way, and well, rings go all over hell like they do in the games if you take a hit. But Sonic does get one of his rings, which I suppose helps. And of course, after another Justice League commercial, they're a Justice League ad here. They're doing a lot of those here. I don't know why all this is appearing in an Archie comic, but like I said, what the hell do I know, right? Anyway, Justice League commercial here. Yeah, Sonic starts kicking ass, and well, before you know it, the rat butt gets decapitated. And I'm gonna skip over a joke here that I really probably isn't in the best taste. So, you know, seeing his Ratbot decapitated is enough to send, you know, Eggman scurrying here, or Dr. Crankor, as I've been calling him, gets chased off, and what do you know? The cop shows up, and the cop in the F1 car shows up, and it turns out this is the poor little rich kid's uncle. Yeah, like I said, they were expecting us to have watched the show and know something about this. But, you know, which unfortunately is me, and you can obviously see how much that's worth. But anyway, we cut to a week later, and, you know, they're apparently... Anyway. But anyway, it ends with a to be continued thing at the end, and I'm sure it was, but not for me, because, well, with all the ads in there, I can't actually believe I paid $2.25 for that thing back in 2005, I think it was. Because, wow, that's, I mean, $2.25 for a comic book, that's, yeah, I mean, the story's okay. I mean, the story was okay, you know, didn't really get into Sonic X when it was on TV. Decided not to follow the comic when it was one of those things where, you know, went through, paid $2.25 for it in the store, and then it was half advertising for other things. So even though I had originally intended to follow it more than I did, yeah, decided not to, because that's a bit much money for something that's like half advertising. But, you know, I mean, I enjoyed reading it when I was actually reading it. As for, you know, actually doing that streaming, you know, half-hour overview of it, or however long it's been, well, I kind of enjoy doing that too. Yeah, I guess if I find something else to blither on about in you know, in a video like this, I'll do it then, or I'll, yeah, go ahead and, you know, make another video. But, yeah, I'm gonna have to work on my, you know, camera skills here, because, well, as you've probably seen in the last, you know, 25 minutes or half hour or however long, I'm not a good, very good presenter at things like this. So, yeah, but, you know, as far as this recording goes, that's probably enough blithering on from me. So I'll see you next time I think I have something to do a video about, and I will see you all in a little while. Or I'll, see you next time I make a video. If you're watching a recording, for me, I guess I'll still be on a little while after recording. Yeah, if you come by live, I'll probably be around for a while after I'm done recording. But we'll have to see how things go. In the meantime, have a good however long. Hope you enjoyed my video. And I will see you at some time in the yet to be determined future. Have a good however long, folks. See you soon.